Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Kareen. Hope you're having a great day. I think I just said that, but I really do. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to create this 8x8 folio album. Um, this is not my design. Again, this is one that I got from MayMay Made It. If you want to check her out on YouTube, you can certainly find it there. She did a whole series of folios, and I just thought they were brilliant and thought that I would bring my spin and my creativity to them and to the people who like to watch my channel. I'll give you a brief overview of this one because we're going to make it. So this is going to be a fairly long video. I'm warning you from the outset here. But it's going to be a fairly long video, and but this is really great. So I have 12 photo mats in this particular folio, and that's not including any like tags or anything like that that I could add in. So I've got the flip here, so I put 6 magnets. So there's 2, 2, and 2 here, so that it holds together nice and strong. You could get away with just using 2, but I like to use 3. Okay, so this flips open here. I've got a spot on the left here for tags, or you could take a couple of pieces of like a 6.5 or an 8.5 by 11, fold it in half, put some photo mats on that, and put it in here as well if you wanted to have something with more photos, or just use as tags. Okay, and then on the main page here, I've got a 6x6 photo mat. So this will fit a full 6x6 paper. This is actually 4.25 by 6.25. So this will fit a 4x6 photo. Okay. And then this is going to flip up like this. And I've got another pocket here that I could add more photos or tags or journaling, whatever I wanted to add into there. And then I've got place for 2 full pictures here. This just slides in like this. Not every picture that you take is going to have everything needs to be seen. So when you're getting ready to mount your photo, just pick things that have most of your scenery on this side. Easy peasy. Okay. This one folds up like this. So then you've got 2 more plus 1 landscape this way. And then this also. So I'm just going to fold this one in here. Because this folds this way and then out again. So you can see there. Okay. So this is the folio that we're going to create today. And then I've got a few items that I kept from my paper pack that I did. I got a hot buy paper pack. This took approximately half of it. So I'm just going to put this to the side and we will get started. So this is the measurements. I'm going to let you take a screenshot here. This is what you're going to need. So for the base, you'll need 1 12x12 sheet. And then I've got the where we're going to score it. For the pages, you need 3 at 8x8 and 1 at 4x8. For the flaps, you're going to need 2 pieces at 8 by 8.5. And then there's some scoring directions here. Okay. And then on decorative paper, so for your matting, you're going to need 11 pieces at 7.75 by 7.75. You'll also need 1 cover page at 7.75 by 7.75. You'll need 2 pieces at 4.25 by 7.75. And then for the flaps, you'll need 2 pieces at 3.75 by 7.75. Okay. Hope that's clear like mud. Take a screenshot, back it up a little bit so that you can get the scoring. So I'll actually just keep this a little bit, there we go, not like that. And then I'll move it over here so you can catch that. Okay, I'm going to put that to the side here. And now I have pre-cut all of my pieces because I don't want you guys having to sit here and wait while I'm cutting everything. This video is going to be long enough as it is. So I've got my 12x12 sheet of paper here. This is just 65-pound cardstock. I'm pretty sure I got this from Michael's. Okay. So for the first side here, we're going to score at 1.5. Whoopsie. Make sure you get it all. Oh, there we go. So if I can get that all the way down. There we go. So I'm just going to reinforce that a little bit there because I kind of went off the line. There we go. 1.5 and 2. Okay, so that's scoring at 1.5 and 2. And then we're going to go to the right-hand side and we're going to score at 10. Oops, that's not 10. This is 10. And then 10 and a quarter. That's 10 and a quarter, that's 10 and a quarter. All right. Then we're going to turn it 90 degrees and we're going to score it at 1.5. 1.5 all the way down, and at 2. 2, and then at 10. 10, and then at 10.5. Okay, I'm going to put that to the side and I'm going to score my 2-piece flaps. Okay, so these should be 8 by 8.5. So that's 8, 8, 8. Where are my 8.5 pieces? Okay, so I've got 8 by 8.5. I wrote it on here in pencil. That doesn't matter because I'm going to be covering that up. So now on the 8.5-inch side, okay, we're going to score it at 8. So we're going to give ourselves a little 1/2-inch little flap here. Okay, so on the 8.5-inch side, we're going to score it at 8 inches. Oopsie. 8 inches. That is our scoring. So we can put your scoreboard away. Put my little scoring tool away and pull out my book folder. Okay, so when you've scored, so this is the side, everybody asks this question. This is the side that I pushed or I scored on my scoreboard with. So I'm going to take that and that's the area that I'm going to bend. I'm going to bend it in on itself. Okay, as I'm bending it, before I go and reinforce my score line, I want to make sure that I'm square on the edges here. So I don't want to reinforce my score line until I know for a fact that this particular item is perfectly square on each side. Okay, then I can go in and reinforce that score line. Right, same thing. So I've got, this is the valley. This is where I pushed my scoring tool into. So along my scoreboard, I pushed that in that way, and I'm going to fold away from myself with that one. Okay, and again, I'm going to line up on one end and on the other, making sure that it's even. MayMay does a really great job of explaining why often even though you've scored and used a really great scoreboard and things like that, why when you're creating an album like this, sometimes when you go to fold your score mark, sometimes it ends up not square. And it's because depending on what size of, well, not depending, but your score is never going to be perfectly sharp because you're using some sort of a bold tool, whether you're using like this, like a bone folder, which is a little sharp, or you're using something that has like one of these little ball tools, or whichever one you're using, that has a slight difference, which could be up to 1/8 of an inch. So when you're folding your score mark, your paper has trained itself into that position, and that extra depth can cause a challenge in terms of things being out of square. Okay, now I'm going to need a small pair of my little fussy cut scissors here. So here we go. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to take my 12 by 12. Okay. And I'm looking at this particular, all of the folds. I think you can see the fold lines and everything like that. Everything that I'm going to do, I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut up along this fold line here, this score line. And I'm going to go right up to the inside. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay. We don't need this particular part. We don't need these corners. So you're going to do the same on all 4 corners. So I can be a bit defender thing. Sorry, I'm distracted there, guys. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on all of the corners. And in fact, here on this one, I'm just going to cut this just a little angled. This way it'll also help with some squaring issues and making sure that I don't have any overlap when I go to score these, or sorry, when I go to fold all of this so that it goes back together and create the base for my folio. Okay. Pop that out. And again, I'm going to go just a skosh inside and just do a slight angle. I don't want it super angled because I want as much area for my paper to grab. These are going to be the flaps that I'm going to be attaching my items to, right? So, okay. I need to get into that corner there a little bit. Okay, and coming up my score line here. And there we go. Okay, and these ones I cut at a little bit of an angle while I was doing it rather than going back in. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now you should have a piece that looks like this. So you've got 4 corners cut out all the way to each score line. So you shouldn't have any score lines on these, just the vertical or horizontal. So vertical score lines this way, the 2, horizontal 2 and 2. Okay, and now I'm going to start reinforcing my score lines. And to do that, so this is, you can see here, this is where the valley, this is where I pushed my scoring tool into. So I'm going to fold this over and fold it down. And again, before I reinforce my score line, I want to make sure that I'm inside this score line on this side. And same thing on this side. I want to make sure that I'm square. Then I can train it with my bone folder. So I did the bigger one, and then I'm going to go and do the slightly smaller one. Making sure that I have no overlap here. If you do have overlap, just put it in your trimmer and trim a little bit of it away. Or you can use some scissors. Either or. That's okay. So now I've got one, okay, and I'm going to do the same. Now, so these ones have half inch, half inch, half inch. These are going to be our spines. Okay. This one has the 1/4 inch. So it's just slightly smaller. I'm folding it in, and I'm making sure that I'm not going over my score line here. Okay. That's how we keep that square. And then I'm going to go in with, fold this slightly smaller, go there. Okay. Making sure on that side. I'm making sure on this side. This side's just a little closer than I want it. So I'm going to lift that just a bit, hold it in. There we go. Retrain that. When you're making these folios, especially because we don't typically make these out of super strong cardstock. I mean, you can use like really hard, not hard, but strong cardstock. So you can see here that I'm watching to see where my score line is here. I don't want anything interfering with any of the areas where my paper is going to fold. So I want to make sure that this is on the inside of my score line before I go and flatten it down too much. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that won't interfere. Once I fold that up, that won't interfere. We got free flow on this side. Excellent. Okay, there we go. Last one. Oh, you can see here, so I'm folding this in and you can see that I can very easily lift this. That's how I know that this will then close the way that I need it to close. Okay. Nothing will be rubbing. Okay. Well, okay, so I'm going to hold that up. Everything's flowing there. Let's try this one. That can bend. Good. Okay. Now take my bone folder and reinforce that score line. There we go. Okay. So now we have our base. Right. And I'm just going to double check my template here. Okay. Now I need the smaller. Now we're going to take the 4x8 piece. And this piece is going to go up here. Just a second. Nope, that's our 1/4 inch. So I want you to take, okay, so we've got 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. We're going to keep that off to the right-hand side. That doesn't mean that that's necessarily how we have to finish the album and everything, but for making purposes, we're going to keep this off onto our right-hand side. Okay? And on this is our 4x8 piece. Okay? That is going to be adhered onto this flap. Okay? So to do that, I'm not sure if you can see this. I want to make sure I'm going to glue it in place, but I want to make sure that I'm just coming up to this position here. I don't want to go over that. Anything over that is going to impede how this opens and closes. Okay? So we want to just keep it right at that position. So in order to do that, I'm going to use liquid adhesive. You can use tape here if you want, or yeah, like double-sided adhesive. You can use a tape runner, whichever. I'm just going to take my liquid adhesive right up to the edge here, but I don't want to go over because I don't want my, I don't want anything impeding where my hinge is or where my score mark is. I'm going to take this and I'm going to butt it right up to the edge, but not going over. Lay it down, smooth it out. Stand back a bit. Stand back a bit. There we go. Got some blue seepage there. Imagine I have some on the other side. Yes, I do. Okay. Now, I'm going to hold this up here. Sort of. There we go. See if I can get that in position. Now, you can see here where my flap is actually too big. It's sticking out on this corner here. So I'm going to need to trim that. So there's a couple of ways that we can do that. You can use some scissors if you feel like you're good enough at trimming that, or you can pull out your paper trimmer. Okay, put this in here. So you might have to fold everything in just a little bit. And I'm going to take my trimmer up here. Okay. So I'm going to put my item, I'm going to put everything pretty straight here. I want to make sure that's where my line is. So I'm going to sink my blade here and I'm going to go up. Okay. Just like so. So it is still sticking out here a little bit. You might want to trim that. Let me see how that looks. Yeah, I'm going to trim that just a little bit more. It's a little awkward just trying to move things around here, get it under the trimmer blades and whatnot, but work with what you can do. And I don't think that's sticking out at all. Okay, it's just a very, very fine amount there. See, I've actually just managed to fold it in a little bit, but that's okay. It gives me a line that I can trim if I need to, which I think I will. My little scissors here. Just give it a little slight haircut. And it's worthwhile taking the time at the beginning before you get to adding your paper and everything, because once you've started adding your paper, you're going to be at that position where you may not be able to correct any of the mistakes. So you want to take the time now while you're in your building process, right? Before it gets covered, before you've made everything all pretty. Okay, there we go. All right. So I just took just a little bit off. I think you can see that here now on the white. So it's now even with the flap, and my front flap is now all even. Okay, so I'm gonna put that back over like this. Okay. And let me see here. Just gotta watch my demo here. Now with this side, now we're gonna take one of our 8.5 by 8.5. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So one of the 8.5 by, oh no, I lied. I lied. Sorry, guys. Okay. So we've got 3 8x8 pages here. So one 8x8 is going to go here. One 8x8 is going to go here. Okay, so let's start with off to the right. Actually, because this one's going to be a shorter one, I'm going to start with this one. Okay, so we still have our 1/4 inch piece right here. I'm going to take one of my 8x8s that I've got, and same thing, I'm going to glue it to the back side of this flap. So I'm going to turn this over so that I can put my adhesive here. And I'm going to go with my adhesive. I'm going to go right up to my score line, but not going beyond. And so these are 8x8. So it doesn't matter if you go this way, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all 8x8. So now I'm going to bring this in and I'm going to bring it up to my score line, but not over my score line. I want everything to be able to move freely. Just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to smooth burnish. You can use your broom folder if you feel you need to get a nice adhesion there. Flip it back over. There we go. And let's check this out. So this side is really nice and square right with my corner here. That looks really great. Now with this one here, I've got a little bit of a pop out. So I'm going to need to trim that down. I'm just going to put my pin back in my adhesive so it doesn't dry out. Okay. So I'm going to pull my paper trimmer over again. So, and of course, we're starting to get longer than, yep, this one I'm actually going to use. Nope, gonna use the longer one. So I'm going to fold this in and this can actually swish up. This is another way of doing this on your paper trimmer as well. So you can actually see the edge here where it's gone a little crooked. So that's okay. And that's something to put in there either. Look at how I did this the other day. Actually lucked out the first time I made this and didn't have any crooked areas, which actually made this somewhat easier. Not gonna lie. It was much, much, much easier. Okay. All right, there we go. Let me get that over there. There we go. Better. Okay, so I'm going to keep my straight edge down here. I don't need to go far. I'm not taking off a ton of material here. I'm going to do this very gently, very. Because I don't want to Everything's kind of folded in on each other here. So I want to make sure that I'm not catching the edge. I only want to get the area that I've scored here. So just this area here, like that. Don't want to catch the area where I've got my folds. Anything that I have left, I can go in with. So you can see here, I caught the edge here, which is great. So it's nice and smooth compared to, I just have to trim off just a little bit here. That, and then catching the edge here. Oops. Oh. And then I can take my little file buffer, take that down like that. Okay. Okay, now I want to orient myself again. So I've got my 1/4 inch. So I've got a 1/2 inch flap here, 1/2 inch flap, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. Okay. So now using the 1/4 inch side here, I'm going to take another 8 by 8. And that is going to go on here, like so. Okay, so again, I'm going to glue it. I'm going to adhere it down, but to the back side of this. So taking my liquid adhesive, and I'm going to go along the edges here, right up to my score line. So, and again, you can use double-sided tape here if you want, whatever you need to use. I like using a little bit of, I like using liquid adhesive because it gives me time to fuss with it and move it around a little bit if I need to. And again, so I'm pushing this up right to the score line, but not over it. I want to make sure that I'm not impeding my ability for this to turn and not turn, fold. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so nice and adhered. And again, you can see I've got almost 1/8 of an inch here that I'm going to have to take off again. Well, let's see if I can do it this time with this one. Who knows? Who knows? Let's give this a because I don't use my paper trimmer like that much anymore. I'm actually going to do it this way. And I'm going to get a nice sharp X-Acto knife. Again, if you're using a knife, please be careful. And I'm going to take my ruler here. And I need this to be slightly longer so I can go right off the edge. I'm going to take my ruler. This should be nice and awkward for you guys to watch because I'm right-handed. So I'm going to try and do this like this. Okay, so I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to go right up against the edge of my ruler. It's your metal ruler. And you want to do it gently. More passes, less pressure. This is what I've heard. So again, this is something that I'm just practicing or starting to get better at because I'm not great at it. But that's okay. You don't need to be great at it. I just need it to get to enough of a point where I can fold it or bring. So this is now almost popping off. I can now come in with my scissors like so and just give it a quick little trim along my score line or along the line that I've created here. Some of it will already pop off. And now I can go right up to the edge. And if I was smart, somehow I would be doing this so that I could get it on the right-hand side. I don't do these super often. All right. Okay. So that's the first one. Okay. I'm going to add the last 8 by 8 on this side. Okay. So again, this is our interior. This is the base. So we've got our 1/4 inch side here on the right-hand side. I'm going to take my last 8 by 8 and it's going to go on this side. So I'm going to flip this over. Okay. And I'm going to add adhesive again. and I'm just going up to the score line, not beyond it. You can see here, just in this one place, I did get a little bit beyond it. That's not what I want. I need to make sure that nothing is impeding my ability to fold my folio. Because I use liquid adhesive, I can pull that out just a little bit. Okay? So now I'm gonna run my fingers along that so that I get a good adhesion. And I have managed to have a little bit of an overhang here again. So I'm gonna do this again. I wonder if it's because I trimmed that earlier. But so in the measurement that I'm lining up with is not the edge of this part of my cardstock, because of course this, when I trimmed off the corners, this I made a little inside, right? Like I cut that a little bit inside at a bit of an angle to give myself a little bit of folding room there. So the area that I'm actually aiming for is right here where my score marks are, because that is where my paper is going to fold. So I'm going to go up a little bit so that I can get a nice straight edge here. And then we'll pull that along. Pull that along. And pull it along. There we go. Let's see here. That has come off. Okay. Folding in. Excellent. Okay. It works for me. Okay. Put that down. And so we've got, turn this around. So I've got my top flap, or my flap, however you want to look at that. Okay, I've got my 1/4 inch side here. Okay. And then this is theoretically the bottom. All right. Now I'm going to take one of my 8.5 by 8 that I've scored, and this is going to go along the edge of this guy right here. Wow, I'm way the heck out here. All right, gonna have to do that as well. So we're going to take, I'm going to put some adhesive on this fold here. And again, you can use 2-sided tape or chick-wing, double-sided adhesive, whatever you need to use. This, I'm going to line up with this. And I'm going to take it to the fold, only to the fold line. I don't want to go any further than that. And then I'm going to burnish it down. Ensuring that I can fold that in, which I can. Okay, there we go. So I have a nice clean edge here, and I'm going to have to trim this one. So I will do that in a minute. But you want to do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, so this is going to be one fold. This is our first one with our 1/4 inch spine here. Okay. And then I'm going to do my other fold directly opposite of this one. Okay. Let's move this to the left here, or to my right a little bit. So on the inside of this fold, on the inside here, that's where I'm going to put my adhesive, because I want to be able to stick it here. Okay. I'll stick it and have it fold in that way. So that means I want to take my adhesive right up to the edge of my score line, not over, but right to the edge of my score line. Okay, and then I'm going to slide this in, oops, to my score line. Go. I have a little bit of seepage here, and that's all right. This one's going to need a little bit of a adjustment, not as much as this one, but this one's going to need a little bit, and that's all right. That folds in and looks good. Nice, good edge on that side. Okay, so let's do trim on this guy here first. you can see here, I've managed to get myself almost an eighth or a quarter of an inch here. And that's all right, because this is straight on this side, so that's okay. So I'm just going to go with that. That might mean then that the pieces that I'm going to cover this with, I might have to make an adjustment to, and that's okay. It's not going to be the end of my world. Go off a little bit there. Okay. So I'm holding this down. And I'm running my X-Acto knife right along the edge of my ruler. Yep. Nice crisp edge. Okay, so now that folds together like so. And if I look and I check and make sure nothing is banging into each other here, looks good. A little crooked here, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. I am not the perfectionist that a lot of other people are. If you are, you can go ahead and trim that down. So here I've got a little bit of overhang here and on the other side. So I didn't center my well, I actually ended up managing to center my overhang. So I'm gonna have to do 2 cuts here instead. So I'm gonna go, make sure that I'm right at the edge there. And again, you want to remember the adage, less pressure, more passes. So if you're a little afraid of doing this, just do it gently. And if need be, you can just create yourself a nice cut or score line and then just go in with your scissors if you're too nervous to use your knife to go all the way through. Okay, and this one I want to turn so I can see it better. Okay. And this is very, very minute, this one. There's very little overhang, just enough to be a pain. Like a 16th of an inch. Nice. Oopsie, that's moving. Okay. Should go. My scissors. And all right. That way to catching the knife on. Alrighty. And in my adhesive, otherwise I'll one ginormous lump, which won't be fun. Okay. Go away. Away. And okay, so you now have the basis of your folio. And I'm going to put this to the top of it so you guys can keep straight with me. All right, so we've got the 1/4 inch gusset right here. Okay, so I'm going to fold in, and then we're going to do the one on the left hand side. So we're going to fold in and we're going to fold in. So we've got our nice 1/4 inch gusset here, 1/2 inch gusset here. The one from the bottom comes up, and then the one over top. Da-da-da-da. There we go. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to round the edges on here just because it's a nice finishing touch there, but you don't need to do that by any means. I'm going to do that myself. So I'm going to get out my corner rounder, my chomper, and then also we're going to stick in our magnets before we forget them. And I didn't grab them before we started. All right, so magnets. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I thought I had everything set out? Obviously, I did not. Okay, so I'm going to use my crocodile here to chop the edges of my book, and I'm going to use the 1/2 inch side here. This is a fairly new tool for me. I'm not used to using it. There we go. But it's basically like any other corner rounder. You just basically put it on the edge, squeeze it down. So this particular one has a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch round side. I think I might have been using the 1/4 inch side on that one. That's pretty funny. Okay, so this gave me a much better chomper. Chomper, chomper. So let's make sure I'm using the same on both sides because that would just be my luck. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside because I'm going to need it when I come back to my decorative paper. Now, this is our flap. So if you would like, you don't have to use six magnets. You can just use 4 and do 2 here, that kind of thing. I tend to find that mine gets a little, I don't know, I don't want it to lift and I really like it to have a firm hold. So I'm going to be using 6 of them. Okay. The way that I like to do that is I'm going to take, let me see here, this is going to come in around there. So I'm going to go, so you can see here, this is where my gusset is. So I want to go in so that I have enough space for the edges, but also so that my paper is going in, can cover my magnets without lifting. So you want to go about like a knuckle in. We've got 4 inches here, so there's more than enough room. I'm going to aim it in between the like between 2.5 inch here, like this way, and then yeah, kind of space them out a little bit. So, okay, I'm going to glue these down. Glues that you can use just a liquid adhesive like this. Really, you want a good strong one. Another item that's really apparently really good to use. I haven't ever had to use it, so I don't know, can't speak to it for sure. But Glossy Accents apparently holds things in like unbelievably well. So I'm adding a lot of adhesive here. And then I'm going to take some soup wang, so double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to cover these so that they'll hold to my paper. So I'm going to cover them this way. So see, I've still got room on the sides here. This will all be underneath paper once I've covered my flaps. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is take a matching magnet, match them up with the way that they, see if I put it this way, it doesn't like it because it's positive to positive or negative to negative. So I need to switch it around so that it is attracted to the magnet of where it's supposed to be. Then I'm going to put just a dot of glue on each one of these. Okay. I want to make sure that my album or my folio is square. And then I'm going to fold this over to how I like it and just kind of casually make sure that it makes a mark. This way I can see where my magnets are supposed to go. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to put more glue, more adhesive here in these areas where my magnet touched down already. And I'm going to lift it. And the side that had the glue on it, that's the side that's going to go down, like so, where the glue touched. And you don't want, this is important though, you don't want to make sure that you're not flipping them over because you want it to still be attracted to that particular, to the magnet that's on the bottom there, right? So the side that had the glue on it was the side that was going to be up. So that needs to be facing down. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take some double-sided adhesive and I'm going to cover these so that they stick onto my paper until I get to the point where I'm ready to put my decorative paper on top, right? I want these to stay. I don't want them to move. So, and Okay. Yep. Okay. And okay, there we go. Everything still looks square. Ta-da, ta-da. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna pop that up. And so you see I can move this around. Now I know that this feels somewhat flimsy, but by the time we get our decorative paper, etc. on here, it will bulk up quite nicely. Okay, so this is gonna fold open, ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. All right. Now before I slice myself open with my X-Acto knife, I'm gonna put that away. Put that away. So now we get to decide what we're going to put on the cover. So I like to choose my cover first because it's going to be the most important one. We're going to have to decorate it, and we want to make sure that that's going to look really nice and everything. So for me, the one that I have decided from this particular paper pack, what I want to do is it's going to be this piece. So I have a piece for the front and I have a piece for the back so that it has coherence for me. Okay. Let's hold on. Now, you also need to choose, because you don't have to have it opening to the right like this. Let's say you want it to open like this. This is the top, this is the bottom, and then you have your flips come out this way. That is absolutely a possibility, okay? Or you can do it the other way. It could open this way. Really up to you. Okay, so this time, the last time I had it opening this way, I think I want to have it open this way instead. So I'm going to take my piece of decorative paper. Now I've also chalked the edges, so you can just sort of see there where I've blacked out the edges a little bit. And I'm going to begin adding all of my decorative paper to my folio here, okay? So to do that, I'm going to peel off the Sukwang release papers. And I'm going to pull out my, nope, not that. And I'm going to pull out my tape gun here. And for this, I'm not sure you can see that. I'll get that nice. I'm just putting adhesive on here. You don't, really everybody kind of knows how to do that. But I want to try and get this as close to the edge as I can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want to get it onto the edge, close to the edge, so that it does adhere where I want it to. Sorry, I'm kind of getting stuck on the edge here, going, and then I'm going to do a couple down the center, like so. Okay. Pay attention if you have images, if it's a plain like plaid or something like that, it doesn't matter. See if it was, sorry, if it was this piece of paper, it wouldn't matter what the orientation was. But this one, because it's actually got words on it, I definitely want everything to read correctly here. So I'm going to add this on like so. Okay. And I can fold out this particular flap and give it a rub to help my adhesive. So the Sukwang that's on top of my magnets is gonna go down and then catch the edges with all of my adhesive there and the places where I had it in the center, just like so. Okay, now I'm gonna, because I have this piece and I'm checking the orientation, and I know that I want this one to be on the back, so I'm gonna add the back piece on as well. Oh, ran out of tape. Woo. Good thing I remembered to put my other one out here. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be, this is the top side up here. So I want to, again, I'm going to make sure that it's fairly centered, having a roughly, doesn't have to be perfect, but having a roughly even mat all the way around so that the black is about the same all the way around. And I don't want to push down too hard on this side. If I really want to give it a good buff, then open it up and burnish it from the bottom, okay, like that. All right. Okay, so we've got the front and we've got the back. And I'm just going to change my tape runner here. This is a tape runner from Michael's. I really like it. Comes with this really awesome wheel. Well, it doesn't come with. This is the adhesive they have to buy, but Michael's doesn't make these anymore. So I found that the scrapbook adhesives carries their extra large easy runner brand fits with this particular guy. So you just pop that in, ready to go. Love it. Easy peasy. And there's 150 feet in here, which is just great. Okay, so now I want to decide what do I want to have going with this at the top here, right? Let me do that. So these are my insides. Which one do you want? These are what was left from my cutouts when I was trimming and creating my 7 3/4, 7 3/4. So you need 13, 12 of these. So for a front and a back, and then 10 more for the inside. But yeah, so when you're cutting those down, you're going to have some leftovers. So now I can go, now these would have to be up and down. I don't want to do that. And that's already what my cover is. I want to use something different, right? So I'm going to save those. Those might become a pocket. So I could do something like that, because this has no particular orientation. See, so for example, when I cut this piece of paper with the deer, it has to be in a particular orientation. So I can't, would look kind of funny sitting on top of it like that. However, I'm kind of liking the plaid here like that. That's quite lovely. That would be a really nice front. And then, let me see, I also got this. This is a particular, so this piece of paper actually has an orientation, because you see they're trees. So you wouldn't want them to sit on here like that, okay, because this is the top. So this could sit on here. Actually, that's quite nice too. Okay, so these are my two winners so far. Got those. I kind of like that one too. I think that one's a little too busy though, hey, with all the words there. Okay. So that one, I think this red just gets a little too bright on there. And I'm not fond of the green on there. So the ones that I like then are either these trees or the plaid. So I kind of like the plaid, because the decorative item that I think I want to use on the front is going to be this Santa Claus, because he's so nice, right? So I'm going to put him here, and I'll probably frame him in black, like I'll matte him in some black and pop him up. But if we were to do that, and we have this, that's not bad. But I also really like this, because when I open it, he's carrying a Christmas tree, right? So yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Christmas tree, actually. This might be the inside flap. Okay, so I'm not sure what you can see. I'm going to put this guy to the side here. Okay. So this is how it's fitting here. So I need to trim this guy down a little bit, just a scotch. But, so I will need to pull out my ruler. Did I put it away? I did. All right. So this one isn't trimmed because I wasn't sure which one I was going to use, and I wanted to do the decor with you guys. So this top flap is at 4 inches. So this is 4 inches across this way. So that means I need to trim my piece of paper down to 3 3/4 so that I can get a 1/4 inch around on it. Right? So I'm going to pull out my paper trimmer here. And we're going to take off right there. Inch. Let's see here. How do I like that? Much better. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to round. And I don't remember which size I used. So let's start with the 1/4 inch and see if that matches up. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's not bad, but I'm pretty sure then that I used the 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to put that in. I got my orientation correct. I do. And I chomp that off. Put this in, square it up, chomp it off. Yeah, it seems like I can use the 1/4 inch really well. Just can't use the 1/2 inch. There we go. Okay. All right. So this is going to go here like that. And I'm really happy with how that looks. So let's stick that down. Actually, I need to chop this edge first because I chopped all the other edges. So I'm just using a color box. You can see how old this poor thing is. It's been chewed up and spit out. This poor thing. These sponge pads are awesome for chalking. They're the best for using that, but they get really, really delicate. As you're pulling on the edges of the paper here, they tend to pop off, like the paper cuts into it, almost like a paper cut on the sponge. And so you have to make sure that you're cleaning your surface, but it also leaves you with next to nothing of a sponge eventually. And unfortunately, Colorbox, the people who created these cat's eye things, have gone out of business. They don't carry them anymore. Well, nobody carries them anymore. Can't get them anymore. So I have a variety of ones that I've been hoarding, and is also why I use. So I want to make sure that I'm picking those up because those are little pieces of black inked sponge. So if I were to keep those on there and turn over my paper or something, I'd end up with shoots of black on my paper. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna line that up, giving it a bit of a border and stick it down. So, and I'm gonna pop it open, burnish from here. The edges where my adhesive was on there. There we go. Now, okay, so that's the front. Okay, we've got the front and we've got the back. Now, so because this particular one doesn't matter what the, I like how this looks when it's opening. I'm going to add this one here. So I need to trim this one down to 3 3/4 as well. Do the edges of it because I want to round the corners so that it ends up being the same as the flap. Okay, those. And so there's a 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And again, I got to chalk it. So the first book that I didn't chalk the edges. This is not something that you have to do. This is just to change it up a little bit because I'm using what was left of the first pad that I used. So that's why this is exactly the same paper that was in there. Go. So I don't know if you can see this little splitch on my desk here, but if I were to take that, that's what happens. So now there's a little squidge on my desk. If I had left this, like if I hadn't wiped up and I were to leave that there, that would get onto my paper and mark up my book, which I don't want to do. Grab that off. And a little bit of adhesive. A bit of adhesive. All right. I'm going to bring this in here. As you can see that my ink was still wet actually on my piece of paper there. But I'm just putting this on here, making sure that there's enough of a border so that it matches. Okay, so I've got 1/4 inch approximately all the way around. I've got piece one. My magnets are all meeting up. This one, and we're opening. I'm just gonna pick that up so it doesn't get on my paper. Cool. All right. So next piece. I will end up pausing the recording. I'm not going to walk you guys through putting down all of the pieces. You guys don't. Basically, all we're doing is adhering cardstock now. So this is all pretty simple. But just to kind of keep everything together, I want to show you how I decided how I did all of this. Okay. So this is now open. These are the pieces of cardstock that I've got. And so I think I'm going to put this one here. It's a nice neutral and it balances with what I've got up here, right? So what do I want to do? So I want to start bringing in maybe some of the green. It's quite lovely. That's also quite lovely. Okay. So you can see here that I've got some of the greens. I like the patterns. Let's see what we can get in here. So because I've got the plaid, I'm not going to add in another plaid. So I'll just keep the black plaid here and my snowflakes there. So let's add these guys in. So it's good to kind of fit them, make sure, especially because I had to do a bit of a trim. So I'm going to make sure that they all fit. And let's see here. So I want to lift up this particular flap here because I want to make sure that this still fits. Let's see there. Oh, I've got two pieces of paper there. That's why that's kind of funny. Yep, still fits. Okay, let's add that on there. Okay, and again, this particular piece doesn't matter the orientation. So, because it's just snowflakes. So snowflakes can fall whichever way they want. No place is up with a snowflake. I just want to make sure that I'm trying to get it close to even all the way around. If I want to burnish that, fold it out and push down on the next piece, right? Okay, so again, keeping in mind that this is up, right? This is my up direction. So now I'm opening this. So what do I want to have here? Okay, this is one open. Okay, so what do I want to start doing here? Well, we can either continue because this is going to open this way. So I'm thinking this would be quite nice there. Then maybe the green like that. Yep, I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to stick those pieces down. Okay, and these are just stripes. So again, there's no particular orientation. It doesn't matter if they're going up, down, whatever. They're just diagonal stripes. They'll go whichever way. Okay. This one, though, does have an orientation. You can see that there's a Santa Claus and a reindeer and things like that. Those very clearly need to be up and down. Would be kind of weird if I had them in this way. This is considering that this is up in my folio. Okay, so I want my reindeer and everything. They're going to face this way. I'm going to turn this around so that I can see my edges, because this is one of the ones that I trimmed a little bit on. I'm going to need to get out my sanding block there, but it does still fit. So I'm gonna keep it at that. I'm not going to turn this one down. It allows me to have the full size mats and everything on it without having to worry about too much. Okay, so see, I was measuring him up this way, but this is up. So I want to make sure everything is going the correct direction. Check your orientation before you stick anything down. And I'm going to fold that out, burnish it down. Okay, so this is the next fold out, right? So here's where we started. This is the next fold out. So what have I got left then? Okay, so I've got some reindeer. I've got some plaid. I've got some trees. These trees actually might be quite nice in the center. Okay, I like that it starts to bring in some of the green. I've also got this guy. This is the very base part of our folio. So if I were to do this, I can now start bringing in, if I keep the trees over here on the right, I've still got the green, but I'm starting to lighten it up so that when I open these flaps, I can now start to bring in some of the red. Okay. So I'm going to use this one as the base. Oops. And again, this has an orientation because it has words on it. So you need to make sure that your orientation is correct. Same thing with the trees. If we put this way, that's going to look awfully silly when we go to do it. It's not the end of the world if you were to stick it down this way, because they just kind of look a little bit like arrows or something. But because the intention is that this is up, our trees are going to grow up. So I'm going to put these in here like so. These are going to go up, 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 up. There we go. Back all the way around roughly. Good, good, good. Okay, so now I'm opening. So I've got 2 pages on this side, and I've got 2 pages on this side left. So, but you can see that I've just got black and white, and I've started introducing just a bit of the red. This is how I'm going to change some of the colors. I have 1 sheet of green left if I do need to use this one, but I think I have enough. Yeah, I do. Okay. So I'm going to pull in. So this is a fairly busy piece. So I'm actually going to put this one off farther to the right here, but it's a nice busy piece, but it's lighter in color. So I want to keep that off to one side. Okay. And then I've got, let me see, did I do the green diagonals on this side? So I'm going to do the red diagonal over here, I think. Just on the other one. Okay. I'm going to do this big plaid off to the far right, and I'm going to put my deer here. So I like that this is a little lighter of the red. Okay, so I've got the pattern, and then I've got the candy stripe or the diagonal stripe and the deer. So they've got both of that have that little bit of taupe to it. Off to the left here, you can see that I've got the doors, and then off to the far right, I've got this really dark plaid, but it's all the way off to the right here. So it's not going to be too bad in terms of darkness. So while I'm sticking these down, I'm just going to pause the video and hopefully I'll be able to come back to it. And then I'm going to add some more embellishing and things like that. And I'll come back for that part. Okay, be right back. Okay, everybody, welcome back. So basically what you missed is I just went through and added, so you, I'll move these next, okay? So you were here when I did green pieces, and now I have opened and decided on the red, stuck those down, okay? So now what I want to do is I'm going to add some flaps and things, I want some pockets to go in here. So what I have decided is that I'm going to add this pocket here to the very base. This is the very bottom of my folio. And I really like when this is open. So you've got the greens and everything. So that's what I'm going to continue on with. So I'm going to take my liquid adhesive and on 3 sides. So one side here, okay, right up to the edge, roughly. Okay. And then on this side here, right up to the edge. And then right along the bottom. So essentially what I'm doing is creating a big U. This is going to create my pocket. Okay. I'm going to come down here to the very bottom of my page. And I'm lining it up along this one side and along the other. Okay, and our glue is going to stick. It's going to have a little bit of seepage. That's okay. But we can move it into position here. Okay, and the very last thing before your glue adheres is you want to just give it a slight pinch. Okay, not a lot. Okay? You want to make sure that your adhesive, that your paper is also coming all the way down. You don't want to see at the bottom corners here. We want this to look like it's a full page. So I'm just catching my liquid adhesive here. Okay, and you're just going to pinch it in just a bit. I'm not sure if you can see this here, but my pocket pocket is raising just a little bit so that you can get things in and out. Okay. This is also if you found whatever paper pack that you were using and you didn't have enough of the 8x8s in order to cover a full thing, you could do a similar thing like this. Let's say you had, this is 7 3/4, but you only were able to get about, let's say 4 inches here. Okay. So you could do 7 3/4 this way, 4 inches this way, and then 7 3/4 this way, and 4 inches this way, and create a pocket. Okay, this won't show all the way down, but you would be able to slide your items in and out without it sticking or jamming. Okay, so we can get, now these are not going to be pockets that have like gussets and everything. This is not for tons of memorabilia or things like that. It's enough to put in, let's see, what have I got here? Okay, so here's 3, let's see, you can put in 3 tags. You could also, so this is enough, yeah, so we could fit 4 in here. So you could put a little, let's say you took something, piece of colored cardstock or whatever in your images here, like let's say you did 6.5. So you had a 12-inch piece of paper that you folded in half at, and yeah, and then folded it in half. You could put a picture here, picture here, picture here, picture here, slide that in. So you had a little booklet. That's absolutely a possibility for something like this. Wouldn't want much more than that, but that would work. Okay, so on the right-hand side here, I'm going to do a vertical pocket. So I've got, this is the piece of paper here that I'm going to use, and I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to put glue here, here, and here. Of course, on the other side, but here, here, and here. And I'm going to put it on the outside of this particular one. And I'm doing it on the outside so that on the edges here, it'll close off like this, and my items won't slide out of my folio. That's the intent, anyways. I missed a couple of spots right there. All right. Okay. So again, I want to line it up. These should be approximately the same measurements as what your paper was at the bottom. So it'll be 7 3/4. Right. I have to move this down a little bit. Actually, this one I had to trim a little bit because I had funny measurements. So I've now glued it down as a U, and then I'm going to take my fingers here, and I'm just going to give it a slight pinch inwards. You can just see here where my paper has just risen just a little bit, just enough to create, I'm not sure if you can see that depth there, just a skosh bit of a pocket so that I can get my materials in and out without it catching on anything. I want to make sure that the corners are nice and adhered. Okay. One pocket, and I've got one more. And I decided I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to go off onto the edge here. I trimmed these down. These are about 7 3/4 by 3.5 inches. If you want the measurements for a pocket, but you can make them any size you want. Like they could be the 4-inch. These are all, again, leftovers from when I was cutting up my paper to make this 7 3/4 inch sizes. So I've burnished my edges here, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a pinch, make sure that that's going to rise a little bit so that I can stick items inside. My adhesive dribbles. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I've got 3 pockets in my album, or my folio here, which I'm happy about. The other thing that you could do if you wanted is you could take a strip. Let's say you had a strip of paper like this, and you cut it to, let's say, 2 inches, maybe 3 inches. You could stick that right in the center like this, and then you could slide tags or something right underneath it, just like that as well. Same thing, just have it glued or adhered at the top and the bottom, and have things slide. Very similar to a belly band here. Let me move that in there. So you could do like that. Have your adhesive at the top, pinch it up a little bit so you've got a little bit of room under there. Not a lot, because you don't want things sliding out on their own. You want to be able to grab them and pull them out. So here's what we've got so far. Okay. And then we've got our two flaps, like so. Now we're going to put in our photo mats. Okay. And I've already gone through, and I think I've got 11 here, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I've got 11 photo mats here. You can fit 12. This is just what I had left over from some of my 8.5 by 11 black cardstock. And then I took what was left of my pattern paper, stuck it down. So this is, so these are 6.5 by 4.5. And then my pattern paper is 6.25 by 4.25, so that it will fit a 6 by 4 or a 4 by 6 piece of paper or photo. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to stick these down. So this is my front. I'm not going to have any pictures on my front. And this needs to be in a particular orientation, right? Because I've got my deer here. So what if, so does this actually. So what if I were to do, this would be quite lovely. If I go like this, and then I go like this, that would be very nice on there. Like that, right? So that fits upwards, right? And I don't have to worry, like, so all of my pictures, when I go to print them out, all I have to do is just make sure that my main focal is a little centered and up or over or whatever. Or maybe there's some scenery or something down here. Like for me, maybe my butt or my stomach is hanging out here. I have no problem with that part being covered. I only want to see, you know, my arm around my husband or whatever that's going to be. Okay. So this one can get stuck down just as it is. And I'm gonna up here, and I want some of my pattern, some of my paper to show on the side of it here. And I'm gonna move this up a little bit so I'm in frame here so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Now, I'm gonna put this down here, but the thing that I need to remember is that my adhesive needs to come this way, okay? I wanna make sure that this is open, this part here is open, so I can slide a photo underneath it. So I'm gonna take a bit of adhesive right here, like this. I'm gonna go like this, and I can go up to, I might have gone up too far. I did. So I'm gonna back this up a little bit. So I'm just peeling my adhesive here. I got a little carried away. And I'm gonna back that down a little bit. It doesn't have to be a ton, okay? But right about like that. That should be right about, yeah, that's gonna come right to there. There we go. So this is now open, and I can get my photo like so. Well, you guys can see that or not here, just a minute. Yeah, that'll work there. Okay. So that's my first two down. Okay, so I've got pockets here, so I'm not going to put any photos there. I'm going to slide this down and let this kind of just hang off the edge here for a minute. And I'm going to come to the side here. And let me see. So out. Out. Okay. Oh, I don't like the pattern better. Okay, that has a particular orientation. So, all right. So you can't, I'm sorry here, I'm going to shift this over. My camera room isn't quite enough. All right. So I've got this really fairly busy piece of paper. So what I want to do is I'm going to put this one on here, okay, because it has a particular orientation, and that's okay. So I'm going to put this green one on here, but it's been matted in black, so that kind of helps it pop off. But because it has this particular orientation, I want to make sure that I know where that's going to go, right? Make sure that this is going to go up. And I'm going to put it down like so. And then I can do some journaling, or I can take some of the other, like these are some of the items that were left in my folio that or from my paper pad. So I could cut out this tag, for example, that could sit right here, and I can write what the occasion was or something like that. I could also fussy cut out this little Merry Christmas wreath, or how about this little snowman? That would be really cute there as well. Doesn't have to keep the same size. This little red truck, this little gift tag thing that's here, I could use that. Even just this one. It's nice. It's plain. It's got a nice border on it. Just trim that out and put it down there like that. Okay. And then I've got these guys. So because I've got the plaid over there, I think I'm going to have the plaid go down a bit. So this is going to be my bottom piece. And I'm changing the orientation on these guys. I'm going to have these be vertical instead of the horizontal. Because for the plaid and the diagonal stripes, it doesn't matter what their orientation is. So, and the same as when we did the horizontal ones here, we're going to pay attention to where our trim is going to be, or where we're going to put our adhesive. So I just need a little bit here, and I can start my adhesive right here. So like so. There, then I can test this out to make sure. You betcha, 4x6 photo will fit in there, no problemo. Okay, so I can fold that in. Now I'm going to come over to this side. I'm going to pop this one open. So I've still got 2 more pieces here, and I've got what have I got? 5 left, I think. 5, 6 left. So I'm obviously not going to be able to fit 3 on here. I added an extra pocket, which I didn't need to, but that's okay. So what do I want to use? So that has a particular orientation. I don't know that I'm going to use that one. I want to use, this really lightens up. Let's see here. If I can get this further down, you guys. Oh, wait, there we go. There we go. Now you can see it. Okay, so this really helps lighten up how dark this particular paper is. So I think I'm going to use something like that, or that would be really quite nice, right? Yeah, that's not bad. But ooh, the green. So I don't want to use this red next to that. So let's do this. So because I had the horizontal orientation on the far left side here, I'm going to do this one here, and I'm going to do it off to the right. So again, it gives me a decorative spot here that I can do something with. And then I want to do the same with these guys here. And I think do this. I'm going to change out the orientation just a little bit so that this is the one that's on the bottom. Okay. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. I already started the adhesive, so that's what I got to do. I was going to change my mind last minute there, but nope, not now. Okay. Okay, so now up here, so I'm going to have my adhesive going here, here, and to here. Right. Should be able to go all the way across. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right now I've got 8 photos in here, and I can, here, as you can see, so I've got these mats here, so I can stick one mat in here, one mat in here, And I can take this guy and this can sit in here, which I can put pictures on or other items from the folio. Okay, this is gonna go like this and like that. There we go. Now, for more decorative items, I'm actually just going to show you because it's now we're getting really into this here, guys. So I'm going to just show you what I've done in my previous folio rather than keeping you on here while I did this. So some of the items that were in there in the paper pack is I had some cut apart strips. Well, I took one and I put it down the center of my flap here. Okay. And then I had some other great little cut aparts like this. These are like journaling. This is about a 4x6 size or something like that. And I took one of those, I put that on the front cover here. I've matted it in black so that it pops off of my piece of paper or off of my folio and off of the busier paper that's on the front. I took out one of the journal spots or the pop outs that was here. So let me just find you another one. I had a second one here that I was going to use, but I've now put it aside, put it aside, put it aside. Here we go. So, for example, this was the what this originally looked like, but I thought this would make a really lovely, like I could put Christmas 2022 on here, or my niece's first Christmas, or Alan and Corrine 2022, something like that. I could do that. Now on here, so this is a really lovely piece, but you can see here where it's got this really nice outline. Well, I can just go along the gold trim of that outline, cut that out, and stick that in on my folio. So this is the folio that I've just done. Okay, so that could go in there, although it's got writing on it, so I have to pay attention to the orientation, of course. But there are other items in here, so I could do something like this tree. I could fussy cut out the tree, put that in here. This would be really beautiful. Like if you fussy cut out the tree and this circle, this would be lovely. Or if you just trim this down, put it on black, matte that's really lovely on the front of your album. And then black or white or whatever your base color is that you're using. And then you can put your title of your album or your folio on there. Okay. Something else. Let's go into the inside. So you can see here where I also had, this was another cut apart that had the long trim, same as what was on here. This was one of the stripes that was on there. So I just matted it in black and put that on top of this pocket. Okay. These are some more of the cut aparts that are in here. On this particular one, so when I've got another cut apart, this was one of the longer ones. I just added it as a trim on the pocket here. It's good. Okay. And I think this is here. Yeah. Okay. So those are the areas. I've got this little piece of trim here that I still have. And then I've also got what I saved from there. So again, these guys, these little tags, these would be really lovely here if you need to do journaling. Trim down that journal spot just like that. So I could cut this out. I could cut that guy out. This one here. Okay. There's this, you can't see this here. Pull this in. Okay. There's this spot right here. Okay. So I could use this tree. I could use my snowman here. The other one that I thought would be really cool is to trim this down and cut this, or even just take this part and I can fussy cut around the candle and just have that be along the bottom. So I can journal spot, just trim it to here, have the green, and I think that'd be really quite lovely on there. So those are the ideas that I have for trimming out and finishing this album. I'm not adding any of these in yet until I actually get to the point where I'm going to do the writing and all the writing in the folio and everything like that. The other thing though that I did want to show you is that these are these are a 1/2 inch, right? So there's 1/2 inch. This one's the 1/4 inch. But some of your cutoffs, if you want, there is enough space here that you could trim these down to 1/2 inch and finish out the edges. That's absolutely a possibility. You'll have enough of these cut off parts from when you're trimming and doing your insides and things like that to fully finish this out. No problem at all. Okay. I hope you guys have a great time making these. You can fit, like I said, 12, minimum 10 to 12, depending on how many pockets you put in. So this is 10 to 12 photos. I can fit even more in. I put more pockets, so I can do journal spots or 2 or 3 pockets or photos per pocket in here. So that's another 6 to 9, and I had 10 photos in there. So, you know, that's almost 20 photos, no problem, into this 8x8 and still have it look beautiful. So I'm going to take one of my cut aparts, not sure which one, but something like this would be really quite lovely along the front there with the snow. Even this Merry Christmas, because of course it's a Michael's paper pack, so it comes with 2 of these. So this Merry Christmas going across the top of here could be really quite lovely. But anyway, I'm going to finish that out on my own. I hope that you guys got enough of a gist of it, that this helped you out. And again, if you need to, here is the dimensions. Here is all of the info. Okay. These are the sizes of what you need. Here's scoring. So just take a screenshot or whatever you need to do there. That's what you need for the insides to create. Okay. Have fun creating, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.